Hi, my name is Todd Wright. I'm Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Progress. Welcome to our webinar coffee break. Reduce your DB2 connectivity costs with Progress Data Direct. So, on to the business at hand. I want to introduce you to our speakers for today. First, we have Dennis Bennett, Principal Sales Engineer at Progress. Dennis has over 20 years of experience in working with companies to help solve their data connectivity challenges. In the past, Dennis has worked as an application developer, DBA, and QA engineer. At Progress Software, he is a principal sales engineer, as mentioned, for the data connectivity and integration products. Also, we have Kumar Vikesh. Kumar is a senior technical product manager at DataDirect, and he has been with Progress for over 13 years and works closely with the engineering team to help customers solve their data connectivity challenges. With all that said, I'm going to pass it over to our speakers, and I'll be back within the webinar for the Q&A section. So Dennis or Vikesh, it's all yours.
Very good. Thanks, Todd. Just to start, a really quick intro as far as DataDirect. DataDirect is a part of Progress Software, and what we focus on is data connectivity for applications, whether they're running on-prem or in the cloud. We've been doing this, all the way back since the ODBC specification was started, back to when JDBC was started. And that's been our primary focus, the whole length of time we've existed. So our goal is to provide kind of best of breed connectivity to a full range of data sources, whether it's, traditional relational databases, big data, NoSQL, or even things like more recently, SaaS, software as a service applications via the APIs that they expose. We provide standard SQL access to them, and we try to do it in a way that is very performant and adhering super closely to the specifications. So that is our focus. But today we're going to focus primarily on DB2 and kind of talk about how the Progress DataDirect DB2 driver can help simplify your connectivity and also potentially reduce the cost of connectivity by using our drivers. So as far as simplicity, I mean, the first thing to consider is our DataDirect, we have a single driver, whether it's ODBC or JDBC, that can connect to any DB2 database, regardless of the platform on where it's running, regardless of, whether it's on a mainframe on Z series, whether it's I series, formerly known as AS400, or whether it's Linux, Unix, or Windows. And then even, more recently, DB2 as a service or DB2 warehouse, these things running in the cloud. And the reason we can do that is it's a single tier driver, ODBC or JDBC, and it speaks the DB2 wire protocol. So we don't need to necessarily go through any kind of gateway to get to the DB2 database. We basically talk in the format, the wire protocol that the database itself is expecting. And that is definitely simplifies matters. It just makes it a lot easier for you, and just also less moving parts, if not necessarily going through like a gateway server or something like that. The other thing is, I mentioned the focus of Progress DataDirect has to provide connectivity, and the idea was to connect, any application running on any platform with any database. And so in this case, our DB2 driver, basically, it'll be installed where the client application is installed, not necessarily where the DB2 database is. So you may be connecting to a DB2 database running on a mainframe on Z series, but maybe you're connecting from a Linux box. In this case, our DB2 driver will be installed on the Linux box or Windows or Spark, Solaris, or so forth. And basically, no matter where your application is, we're going to give you connectivity to your DB2 database, no matter where that is. So again, just to make it flexible, make it simple for you to let your applications get the data that they need. And finally, connectivity is important, but at the same time, security is equally important. These days, you don't go many days without reading about some kind of data breach. And so one of our again, main focuses in providing connectivity is to provide it in a fully secure manner. So we're going to support the DB2 authentication scenarios, whether it's Kerberos, whether it's client authentication. So we'll support, first of all, authenticating, proving to the application, the database, that, this application is who it says it is. It has, valid connectivity credentials. And the other thing is supporting secure connectivity over the wire. So we'll support, TLS 1.3, the most modern cryptographic encryption over the wire, to make sure that, you don't have to worry about data security. And I'm going to pass it over to Vikesh at this point to kind of go into more details on, both the security that we give you, and also how the drivers, the secure practices we use to ensure that the drivers are, you can bet your business on them. Vikesh?
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. So as Dennis said, one way of doing security with the product or the drivers are to support the secure authentication methods to connect to the database. And with our DB2, ODBC, and JDBC driver, we support secure authentication method. The next aspect is to provide a security when the data is in transit. We use the most secure and latest crypto protocol version available, that is TLS 1.3 with DB2, ODBC, and JDBC driver for secure data access and transfer. But how do we ensure what products we deliver are of high standards? So Progress has a robust third-party security policy. No product with critical, very high, and high vulnerability will be released. We also have SLAs around the medium as well. Next, we also provide statement of quality. So statement of quality means we share a report that means what external dependencies or third-party dependencies are used in the product, along with the versions, and if there are any known security vulnerabilities, if any, what is the severity and the licensing of these external components. These reports also show the external dependencies of external components, like third party to third party, which is, we call it as a transitive dependency. And we also list out if there is a CWE open with an external components, which is not affecting our product, the details on why it is not affecting our products. And yes, we do scan our product on every release that goes out of the door for our DB2, JDBC, and ODBC drivers, it gets scanned. The results of static code scanning of the product code and the result of those security scans, like found flaws, mitigated flaws, along with details, are also part of the statement of quality.
Thanks, Vikesh. And I can speak to that. It's in the last couple of years, for sure, we've seen more and more people wanting to see this kind of documentation and verification, as far as, what Vikesh just mentioned, as far as how the drivers are built and the components within them. So it's definitely top of mind for the people who are using our products.
And yes, it also shares that we are very transparent with our security policies and our
Correct.
security
Yeah.
practices.
Yep. Thank you. Kind of moving on, in a similar vein, another thing we see a lot of questions around is FIPS compliance. That's Federal Information Processing Standards. Again, in the last few years, more and more we're getting people requesting information on whether we are FIPS compliant. In this case, we definitely are, and this is mandatory, if you're dealing with sensitive information, within, federal agencies. It is a national, U.S. national standard. And I know, Vikesh, again, you've been working a lot with this. I don't know if you want to kind of go into some more depth as far as what we do around this.
Yeah, so what we have done is we have tested our drivers under FIPS compliant environment. We have ensured that, so FIPS basically defines some set of algorithms that should be used when you're doing a data transfer, secure data access and transfer. So what we have ensured is none of the algorithms that are not FIPS compliant are being used when our drivers are put into a FIPS enabled environment. And with our DB2 JDBC drivers FIPS compliant, our customers can definitely meet the mandatory regulatory requirement required for federal projects. And this does not even apply to not only federal projects, even a lot of banking institutions and other organizations are following standards that are very high, and they want to use the algorithms that are very secure.
Thank you. Yep. And, we talked about simplicity. We talked about the flexibility in multiple platforms and security. And finally, a major focus of ours is high performance. Again, we've been around since the beginning of ODBC and JDBC, and we have a lot of knowledge around what it takes to build a performant driver, in this case, using the DB2 wire protocol. This is, again, we know you have a choice when you choose database drivers, and we want to, give you the best performance that we can. So performance testing is a major part of our releasing of our drivers, where we'll compare it against competition, and also against our previous release, just to ensure that we're moving in the right direction. And we take this very seriously to do no worse than tie. And primarily we are looking to differentiate ourselves in performance. We have a special testing environment for this, where it's repeatable, and there are no other factors that could influence. So it's a separate network where we don't have to worry about something else going on at the same time, potentially impacting performance results. We have a number of different performance tests for different database table access and update kind of scenarios. And we'll test things like raw throughput, like in a case of a select, like rows per second. But also we'll test efficiencies, so things like rows per CPU second, and also memory usage. And we'll test scalability by testing against an increasing number of parallel threads, just to make sure it's performant and also that it's scalable. And so again, I think Vikesh, you probably maybe can speak a little more in depth to this, but I don't know if there's anything you'd want to add.
No, you covered it pretty well.
Thank you. And then, another case for simplification is the pricing for the DataDirect driver for DB2 is very straightforward, and it's based on the machine, the size of the machine where the driver's installed. So there's not different tiers of support for this. It's really, the one method of pricing. And the fact that it's based on where the driver's installed and not the size of the DB2 database server potentially works in your favor in the case where maybe you've got a huge DB2 installation, and this particular application that you want to connect to the DB2 database is not, major, not the biggest one. You don't want to pay based on the size of the DB2 server, and you want to understand, exactly what you're going to pay for. So in this case, it's very straightforward. There's not a lot to, study about it. You won't be surprised by, month to month how much this is. It's really one size fits all, one price, based on, again, the size of the machine where the driver is installed. So it just makes life easier. And we definitely have people coming for us, not necessarily just for performance or security or functionality. Sometimes it could just be a pricing decision. And, we welcome you to compare and see if it's something that's going to meet your needs. And again, I know, Vikesh, you've looked into this a little bit. If there's anything you feel might be useful to add.
Yeah, the pricing with competitions are based on the PVUs, and it's complex. But when it comes to our pricing, as you said, it's one pricing.
Cool. Well, good. I think, it's a coffee break talk. We're not going to bore you to death. We really just wanted to let you know how our DB2 connectivity with the DataDirect driver potentially, could simplify your architecture and potentially also reduce the cost, regardless of the platform, Z series, I series, LUW, and regardless of the platform, AIX, Solaris, Linux, Windows, so forth. So anyway, I'm going to turn it back to you, Todd, to see if we have any questions.
Thanks, Dennis. I appreciate it. But you guys don't mind going on your cameras for the Q&A part? That'd be great. All right, guys, we have some questions. Let's see the first one. May I confirm that the duration of this session is 2 hours? Nope, it's just it's a very short coffee break webinar for everyone. I believe it's around midnight for Vikesh, so we're gonna let him off easy on the 2 hour part. Let's see, we have some other questions. Why would I consider using a driver from an independent software vendor? I guess it's probably a question about native connectivity versus independent software vendors such as DataDirect. And either one of you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, I can take that, Todd. This has been our primary focus, database connectivity through drivers for the life of DataDirect. So that's basically all we work on. So it's just our primary focus. So we have a lot of internal knowledge about that, and it's also very important for us to support the specifications of ODBC and JDBC very tightly, there's a lot of benefits to that too, as far as avoiding vendor lock-in, or if you need to support multiple databases, it's a lot easier that way. But again, it's our focus. That's what we do, and that's where we put our effort into.
Okay. Let's see. We have another one here. This is a good question here. Why is adherence to the ODBC or JDBC specification important? Why should our company or me individually care about this?
It kind of goes into what I was saying before. Different database providers will add functionality often through proprietary extensions, which are beyond the ODBC or JDBC specifications. So it's also, very useful functionality. But what happens is, since you have to code to it to invoke it, it kind of creates a little bit of lock-in to, a database vendor or to a database itself. It's almost like Velcro, like little bits of code specific to a database through that extension. So we definitely want you to be able to leverage the functionality, but we don't want you to have to change your code to do it. Something beyond proprietary, beyond ODBC or JDBC spec. So we have something called codeless configuration, and we'll allow you to make modifications and turn on these things through connection parameters without changing application code. So it just makes life easier. And if you ever did want to switch, database or driver or whatever, you're just a lot easier to do so.
Okay, great. Next one is in relation to if anyone needs some help with their licenses, and it's what are your support policies? I know neither one of you are in tech support, but can you talk a little bit about our tech support and some of the policies and the ways that organizations get a hold of us if needed?
Yeah. It's 24/7 tech support for our customers for solving driver-related issues. You can open a case via phone or through a portal. We have SLOs in place for different levels of severity for issues. You can see that on the website where we kind of go over that, but it is something we look to differentiate ourselves again with, just to be responsive and to give you the support you needed to kind of move forward with the application.
Okay, great. Looks like we have one further question. What FIPS environment was DataDirect DB2 drivers tested on?
Okay, so with FIPS, I can take that question, Dennis.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, with the FIPS, I understand we are talking about FIPS here. So specifically for the Progress DataDirect JDBC drivers, we tested for FIPS 140-3 compliance on a UBI 9 Docker images that were FIPS enabled, and we did test with Red Hat OpenJDK version 21. There are multiple FIPS provider that comes, but the specific testing which we did was using the default FIPS provider on that environment was Sun PKCS11. Whereas the Progress DataDirect for ODBC drivers of DB2 were tested for FIPS 140-2 compliance using OpenSSL 3.0.x version. We keep updating the OpenSSL version that we shipped. So with every OpenSSL version, 3.0 OpenSSL version, we get a FIPS provider. We use that FIPS provider to test FIPS connectivity. As of today, the FIPS is supported on 64-bit platforms for Windows, Linux, and AIX.
Okay, Dennis, anything to add to that? Pretty comprehensive answer, I know. Okay, great. Well, guys, that's it on the questions. I know we branded this and advertised this as a coffee break. So as promised, and as Dennis mentioned, we're going to keep this relatively short today. I thank you both for presenting today and answering some of the questions. And everyone on the webinar today, as far as the audience is concerned, we appreciate your time as well. And as always, we're going to be sending out a recorded version to all of you that to the email address that you provided to this webinar. And if you have any questions, we're always available here at Progress DataDirect for anything you may need. And with that said, I once again appreciate everyone's time, and this concludes the webinar. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.